Hello guys, good afternoon. Thank you for attending this free online lessons for today. And topic for today is how to create, how to manage, and how to produce your 3D steel detailing by using Autodesk Advanced Steel. And this Advanced Steel actually is the software included in the AEC collections. And if your company has already purchased the AEC collection, it means that you will get a chance to use that Advanced Steel. Okay, and we have, yeah, okay. Okay, so before we begin our sessions, let me do a bit of background checking for you guys. So please answer these polls. Okay, so I just want to figure out which backgrounds are you come from, and let's see if if this session is suits your requirement, and if you don't, then we will know why. Okay, and then it seems like we have some of you are student and also engineers for civil and mechanical. Okay, and yeah, as expected, most of you have been going back to work in the office, so that would be the current situation from now, since we are in the PKP pemulihan, right? Okay, thank you for your answer. Okay. All right. Okay. Advanced Steel is one of the software, okay, and built based on AutoCAD. And as you all familiar with AutoCAD, means that especially if you are good enough in AutoCAD 3D, then you should not have problem to learn by yourself to how to use Advanced Steel. Okay, it's just a software built based on the AutoCAD platform to focus on the production of the 3D drawing and 2D drawing and shop drawing for especially for steel members only. Okay, and if you are expecting to do things like rebar, things like concrete detailing and so on, so you have to go back to Revit, where you can do all those things for complex concrete modeling and detailing. So Advanced Steel is totally focused on steel, and it can work well with Revit by transferring the files in and out from Revit. So okay, and here is the workflow. If you want to go with Advanced Steel, so what you are expecting to do with Advanced Steel, you will always start with the template. Okay, and as usual, we start with create grids, just like we do in Revit. Okay, and then we will start creating a 3D model, 3D structural model to be precise. We start doing the, okay, we start do the required joints. Okay, and Advanced Steel have massive amounts of connections, joints based on the country-based standard, okay, and the code check and so on. So if you are working with the like a Japanese code, if you're working it's like for Euro code, BS code and so on, AISC, we Advanced Steel have acquired all of these joints code standard. Okay, and you should not be worried about those codes because most of the common connections, especially on the plates, on the bolts and nut and anchors and so on, so it's all way accurate and better than what you can do with Revit. Okay, and people know that Revit can do things like this. Okay, and every Revit users, for at least for structural modeler in Revit, knows that Revit can do structural modeling, Revit can do connections, detailing for steel, and Revit can do welding points and so on. And Revit can also generate drawing for steel. But believe me, Advanced Steel is doing way better than Revit in terms of steel drawing. Okay, and why? The reason is why, because Advanced Steel is not just producing the 3D modeling, but it helps you to assign the numbering. Okay, it helps you to assign the prefix for that numbering, and then you can generate the bill of materials, parts list, assembly list, and reports, and so on. and you can generate drawings like generate GA drawing, GA with bombs, okay, and then you can also link the models. If you are working on the hot roll or cold roll steel members, then you can link that into the NC by generating the NC file, okay, to link with the CNC machine, so that the machine will get the drawing as per 1:1 scale and continue with the production. Okay, so that's a little bit on the advanced workflow, and now I'm going to show you guys how it looks like to work in advanced steel. Okay, so this is the sample model for advanced steel members that you can do here. Okay, and even though it looks simple, but for me it's quite good in terms of detailing. And if you can see, if I zoom in, these models, it has a set of connection that is already plugged in, and all of these connections is not just a simple plate. Okay, and as to show the difference between Revit connections and advanced connection is like when you have the connection ready, you can have also the parameter settings, which we could not do it properly in Revit, even though we have. But for custom connection like this, you can see that we have the positioning method, we have the naming method that we can do. Say that you want to name the parts as have the prefix naming part for numbering process, and you can also assign the connection as a model role, so that in Revit we have category. In advanced we also have this the same things, like, well, we call it as the model role. Okay, and we can change the display type and so on. Okay, so for this kind of connections, we can actually create and customize based on your requirement. Okay, and how we're going to create models in advanced steel? Is it really difficult compared to Revit? Okay, let me show you how it's done. Okay, and this is some set of grid lines that I'm currently doing it for these samples. Okay, and let's say you want to create the gable frame or portal frame, something like that. Okay, and if you want to go with that, you can let's say you want to go with portal and gable frame command. Here we have a few more options for steel modeling, that like purlin and so on. Okay, and then let's say I'm picking up the base point and then the second base point, and assign the apex heights, like say 112,000. Okay, it's processing. Okay, you can see if you are doing it in Revit, you can generate the same result. Okay, but the difference is with the parameter setting in advanced steel is totally focused on steel production. Okay, and let's say you want to set these properties, set this as a portal frame. Okay, you can also make it as a gable frame. Okay, so you can add another additional structures inside the system without modeling the whole structure. So it's like creating a point to build up the structure. Okay, and then you can also arrange the setup if you want to. So let's say you want to increase the eaves level from 5,000 to say that 10,000, for instance. Okay, so it's like creating a factory there. And if you are focusing on the slope, roof slope, then you can define it here. So let's say the roof slope will be 15. Okay, then it will bring the models in a way that you don't have to worry about how you're going to manually draw the steel members like we do in Revit. Okay, and then we can also change the sections. So this is what I was told you about the standard. Okay, for instance, that we are working on the UK standard template, but We also have another standards ready in this advanced steel: Australian, Brazil, Chile, China, and so on. CISC, ISC, GNS, US, Indian, IP, and so on. TIS also. Okay, and this software is actually good for not just for Revit modeler, okay, not just for structural modeler, but it also good for designers also, and also very useful for fabricators in the factory. Okay, so that if you are not really linked into that BIM project, so even you get only 2D drawing from your client, then you can still do the remodeling here in Advanced Steel, and it will be very easy. But again, as you are expecting from CAD to Revit, you can also convert 2D CAD to 3D CAD in Revit, in Advanced Steel, sorry, because there is no automation process from 2D to 3D for now. So unless that you are, you can link it properly, and then you know that we can discuss the workflow later on if you want to. Okay, and you can also change the section size here. So it's all back to the standard. So let's say the column size, I'm picking up the column and changing the size to 305, and also you can change the raster size to even bigger. For instance, if I want to make it like 457, okay. So things like this is only can be changed in the like parameter setting. So you don't have to change all the geometry manually one by one, and you know that would take longer time to do setting. And you can also set the distance if you are dealing with the gable distance. So let's say you are putting up more gable here, and then intermediate distance would be 1000. Okay. So this is kind of things that we can do in Revit, and we have a lot more features for things like this. We can also create a flat structure, flat roof structure. We can have a single pitch structure and so on. So it's almost like the same. Okay, and if you want to do further with this, you can also copy this thing away, and things are very clear if you are, things will be going very smooth if you are good in AutoCAD. Okay, if let's say you are going to run the copy command here. Okay, I'm picking up the point so that I can copy up these things to other places like this. Okay, and for instance, if I want to change this back to portal frame, I will just go to the properties parameter and change it back to portal frame. Okay, with the same steel members and size. Okay, so this is things that we can do. And let's say you want to add few like the roof purlins to connect it so before you place the cladding and so on. Okay, and you can place like there is a purlins command here. Okay, and what we can do here is we can select the roof structure. Okay. And no. Okay, and you'll see you don't have to worry about creating a plane. You don't have to create like angle plane or sectional plane for this just to place the purlin. So it's all here with the systems ready for steel members. And what we can do next is to change the section. So for instance, if you don't want to use this backsec, you want to change to, for instance, you want to change to C channel. Let me find if, no. Okay. Okay, let's say you want to change to this kind of shapes, and then change the size as usual and the standard here. Okay, and you can also arrange the elements. So all the settings here is very clear because in this parameter setting, you can see the diagram on the right side. So it says it shows you the explanations in diagram what is the value should be put in number 1, number 2, 3, and so on. Okay, And for instance, if I want to enlarge the support, so you can add the values here, let's say 1,200, okay? And you will see here, all the Perlin's members is updated, and same goes to these sides if I want to lengthen it here, okay? Okay, so this is one way of modeling in a smart way in advanced steel. Okay, if you are comparing this method with AutoCAD 3D modeling, it has a very huge difference. And believe me, you will find a hard way of doing it in AutoCAD 3D, but in advanced steel, it's just a less click involved in creating the same model. Okay, and let's say you want to do the same Perlin setting for the other side. Advanced Steel has the ability to store the settings individually based on the component that we pick, and then we can import values here. So let's say I'm changing the values to like Perlin 1, for instance. Okay, and then I'm going to close it here. And if I want to run the Perlin command again, what will I do is just do the same thing like Perlin here. Select the object. Okay, enter. Yes, no. Additional reference beam, no. Okay, and if it backs to not the setting that you saved earlier, then what you need to do is just go back to the library and double click at the Perlin. See, so this is way we saves more time to deal with the settings. So because you don't have to repeat all over again the settings, because the setting is very tedious if you want to do it in the first place. But when you know how it works with other places, you don't have to worry about redo, or if you forgot the previous setting, then you don't have to worry if you save all the settings in the library. So this is the main features that people really like working with advanced steel, so that you don't have to, because the settings are very detailed, very specific to certain particulars. So that is why we cannot deal with rewriting all over again. Okay, so that's the simple way of how we can do steel modeling. And let's say let me show you how we're going to create a few connections for advanced steel. So in advanced steel, we have we call it as a connection vault here. So for connection vault, we have like many of the standard base connections, and also for column beam connection, beam end to end, and many more. Okay, you can see here, it has a common connection, and also some of the customized common connections. But if your project is really work on the very customized plate connection, then there is another way to deal with it. But from here, we can also modify the settings to meet your target or the custom target. And for instance, if I want to create the base plate connections, okay, so let's say this is going to be like a normal base plate. Okay, and then the instruction is very clear. It includes a diagram with the pure instructions here, what are the things that you need to select. So I'll just click at the column here and then click no for other structure. Okay, and you will see this is the things that we are creating here. Okay, and to change the anchor, to change the plate size, to change the layout, anchor layout, so that you don't have to do it manually, all is set inside the advanced steel parameter setting here. So let's say you want to change the base plate layout, change the thickness to, let's say, to 15. Okay, and then change the base plate dimension to make it larger, like 275. Okay, and then change the plate corner if you want to, and you have few more settings to change the common bolts and anchors. Okay, and if it doesn't have the settings that you have here, there is a way to insert it into the advanced database. Okay, of course, sometimes you have, like, if you want to create the J hook like this. Okay, you have these kind of connections that ready to be used, and also you can change the size according to the spec here. So all the spec is preset in Revit, so preset in Advanced Steel, so that you don't have to worry about the sizing anymore. But if you have more sets coming in, there is a way to do it to modify the database. Okay, and let's say if you want to add the washer plate like that, okay, anchor parallel web and so on. So let's say you want to add few more, 2, 3, for instance. Okay, and then like make it 100, or let's say 150. Okay, so all settings will be reflected. Okay, all settings will be reflected to the geometry. So you don't have to worry, as long as you are creating in the same, you are setting up in the same parameter box here, parameter windows here, then you don't have to worry about the object that will be appear on the drawing. So it will all follow the setting here. Okay, and another things that people really like to work in Advanced Steel, because it can help you to speed up the connection modeling process, because you don't have to do the same thing all over again like that, but you can do these features. We call it as copy, smart copy. Okay, let's say we are opening up the Advanced Steel palette, and then we are finding this tool. Okay, so this create join in a joint room. Okay, so let's say I'm picking up the plates here and place the object to the other position. All columns which has a similar kind of okay, and then you just need to enter. Then it will load you a few more seconds to load into the other place, and there we go. So you'll have the same setting here, and let's say you are changing the setting. If you are worried of the copy things that will not be reflected to the original connection, and let's say I'm creating up the setting again and modify the holes. Yeah, change it back to 2. Okay, and change the distance back to 350, for instance. Okay, and you will see the other place is also updating. Okay, so that this kind of help you to focus more on your productions, then you have less worries about the tedious works and so on. So you don't have to worry about all the repetitions, like things like this. So if in any place that you manage to place the first connection points, you will be able to copy the connections to other similar conditions, like purlin to purlin, column to column, beam to beam, like that. Okay, so these are the features that speed up the modeling rather than working in Revit, and also working with AutoCAD 3D. Okay, and in terms of the documentation, if you want to have like drawing generated from this view, okay, for instance, if this sample structure, okay, and with different conceptual visual settings. Previously we were doing in wireframe like this, and now we are changing to conceptual preview so that it becomes clear. Okay, and let's say you want to create the numbering process before you generate drawing. So what you can do is to generate the prefix setting. Okay, go to this, sorry, where is this output? Okay, okay, and then what we can do is to change the prefix setting here, user, user default. Okay, okay, for every model role, or we so-called category that we did in Revit. So this is the model role that we can preset the prefix setting. Okay, and it can be anything. It can be anything that related to or suitable for your job scope and so on. Okay, this is for instance, and there are a few things that you may forgot to key in, so that's okay. I will show you what are the difference between those we key in or not. And then we can also generate the numbering once we're done. We can generate the process number, assembly numbering, and also part numbering. Okay, and we can set the increment if you want to have a different increment settings like this. So then we can just click OK, and the software will help you to calculate the numbering. Okay, and it will help you to generate things like this. Okay, so we have the steel section name here, and let's say see that if I click the steel members, it is selected in the drawing. So it has the 4 units of WC328 with the label of C1, and the things that we forgot to set the prefix will be none. Okay, but it still go to with the numbering. It's just going with none, so that later we can update whatever that left here. Okay, and then that's the way we control the numbering. And let's say you want to generate the drawing with the plan view, 3D view, and so on. So we have this complete features of generating drawing. We call this as drawing process and drawing style. Okay, so the difference is both are creating drawing, but one of them is to create the GA drawing, and the other is to create a part drawing and assembly drawing. Okay, so let's say we left this first, and then we go with the GA drawing, and everything is related to AutoCAD must be work well with XYZ or axis. Okay, so let's say I'm putting up the axis here, XYZ this way, saying that the Z directions will go to the elevation side, and XY is creating a workable plane for this object like this. And this is going to help you to generate the elevation points. For instance, if you want to create the elevations all assembly, and you want to change the setting here, scale with 1 to 100, okay, and then you can also pick you can create your own title block, or you can pick the existing one, and then you can click OK. And while waiting for it helps you to generate the drawings automatically, so you don't have to place like we did in AutoCAD. We place in the model layout and so on, but in Advanced Steel, it's all stored in the document manager. So it's easier, and it's even better to manage your drawing. Okay, so for instance, this is 104 that we managed to create. Okay, and if I open up the drawing, okay, so this is the drawings that we are expected to see. So nothing will be left, any object that is not have prefix like this for none will still be counted as, will still be numbered. Okay, so you don't have to worry about the productions. Okay, as long as you model it precisely and accurately, and you don't have to worry about this. And let's say we want to view in 3D, for instance. Sorry, I'm resetting the. Let me reset the tool palette. Okay. Okay. And let's say you want to generate a 3D view with numbering and labeling and so on. So what we can do now is to set the view according to this 3D view, and we will go to the drawing style and find the 3D view, all assembly labels, for instance, and we can create this with scale 1 to 50. Okay, and it's not going to take long. And once done, you can go to Document Manager. Okay, and see there is a new drawings created for the latest view that we created for 3D perspective. Okay, So this is the things that we can do. Okay, you can see here there are a few things that is properly numbered, and there are a few things that I really forgot to assign the model role and so on. So this is also this is why in if you were doing in Revit, you don't have you cannot forget the categories, but in Advanced Steel you cannot forget the model role, so that you will not miss the numbering process. Okay, but the process is there. Since that you just need to get it done properly, and this is how we help you to increase your productivity in steel modeling. No longer use AutoCAD 3D, basic 3D to model steel structure, because I know that many of you guys here out there still working with AutoCAD, standard AutoCAD to work with steel modeling, just to show you the steel section, steel shape, and so on. But believe me, if you're willing to spend because the software price compared to AutoCAD is not much different, then why not you get this advanced steel for the specific, okay? Okay, so I will back to the questions later. So for now, I will wait a few more questions. So that is all that I'm going to show you guys for today's session. And before we, if you guys, while waiting for the questions, you can drop the questions in the chat room here. And while waiting for the questions, let me show you guys our website. So if you are new to this event, then you can go to the you can also go to the our Facebook. Sorry, this is Facebook page Acad System. Okay, this is we are doing live in our Facebook page here, and also you can find more information in our homepage. Okay? And all news, all the new promotions, and so on. So this is the contact numbers for our sales team, and you can also raise the inquiry form here for any inquiries that you have, and see the latest workshops and webinars for the upcoming session. Okay, and my session next week will be this collaboration topic. So if you guys want to know more about collaboration in Revit, so you are welcome to join the sessions. And we have also another topics for Inventor and so on. Inventor, another Inventor shape generator like this and so on lah. So we are doing it rapidly for those you are in needed, so that we can help you with the knowledge whenever you guys free to join. If you guys are not free, you can back to our Facebook and YouTube channel to follow this session back. And for any issues that you face, you can also raise the helpdesk ticket in our helpdesk page here. And you can fill up all details information and continue as guest. Fill up all the informations, name, subject, email address, company, description, and don't forget to change the category to Penang or KL, because we have a branch in Penang as well. Because we are all the same under the same roof, but we have another branch in Penang to work as similarly like us. And we can set the priority to high if you need us to respond very quickly, but our team will always respond it very quickly. Okay, so before we let me run a few more polls before we end our session. Sorry, we got questions in the chat room, right? So let me entertain the question first. All right, so the question is, can we do all connections? So thank you, Carol, for answering the question, the first questions. The second question is, okay, can we do all connections still in Advanced Steel, then export to Revit? How about some amend steel bolts, then export again from Revit to Advanced Steel? Or can any auto update? I have AutoCAD structural detailing, but look like, yeah, eventually better. Okay, to transfer all Advanced Steel export to Revit, okay, I know that you are looking for details in Revit, but it can be done, but there are a few methods that need to go through to synchronize the material in Revit and Advanced Steel. I've done it before. It has few issues if you are not really well doing, if you are not doing the setting well in terms of steel profile naming, because let's say in Advanced Steel, the name will be like, it has the code name like MZC channel, but in Advanced Steel, in Revit, if you transfer the model, in Revit family, we only have the standard C channel naming. Okay, so those names, C channel and MZC C channel in Advanced Steel can be synchronized through some settings. Okay, and if you want to amend steel boards, then export again from Revit to Advanced Steel. Can any auto update? So there is a way we can do collaboration between both software. Okay, but I would suggest you do all modeling in Advanced Steel. If you are, let's say you are mixed up the process, you'll have issues. Okay, if you start modeling in Revit, okay, halfway, and then you transfer back to you transfer the model to Advanced Steel, and you do editing until the model completions, and you bring it back to Revit, and you do the next process in Revit, that would cause you any issues. So I would highly suggest, this is based on my experience, I would highly suggest you go with one place of modeling and one place of drawing productions. So let's say you want to submit the model in Revit for BIM project, everything will be submitted in Revit file, but you can finish up everything in Advanced Steel, and there is a way to synchronize or to collaborate together with both software. Okay, so there's still a workflow there. And yeah, for structural detailing, Advanced Steel, of course, it's way better than AutoCAD because it is built purely for steel members. Any other questions? I'm still waiting for the questions. And while waiting for the questions, so let me ask you a few more polls. If you're satisfied with our online lessons, so if you do, just click yes. Will you be able to use what you have learned? If you have all the Advanced Steel AEC collection in your company and your IT might not install all the software that you do not know that it exists, so then you can ask for it from your IT. And would you recommend your online lessons to your friends and colleagues? So yeah, thank you for voting. Okay, we have a few more seconds left. Okay. And before we end our session, let us do the thumbs ups in a count of 3. If you are accessing this through your PC, you can find the reaction buttons at the bottom. And if you are accessing through mobile phone, you can find the 3 dot buttons on the right side, then find the reaction that you are wishing to. So let us do the count before you can hit the thumbs up button. Okay. So if you really like this event and want us to provide more information, feel free to give us thumbs ups in 3. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, last question from CCW. Advanced Steel and Revit must same version. The answer is exactly yes, because Autodesk is preparing all updates by versions. Okay, so if let's say you are using Revit 2020 and you want to use Advanced Steel 2019, that won't happen. If it happens, then it will gives you issues on the transferring file. So some file may be corrupted during the transfer. If it's not same versions, if it's lower versions, you can still open on the higher version, just like we open it in Revit. But if it's different versions, then you will have issues. Revit, you know that Revit cannot support higher versions. Let's say you are dealing with Advanced Steel 2021, but you are working with Revit 2017. The plugin will not support the process because it's only for relates. It can only help you with the same version. Okay, if there's anything else, if not, thank you very much for your time. So hope to see you guys in the next event. Right, so you can watch back the live in our Facebook page. Thank you very much.